my friend, we are here with the man himself.
Whoa.
You want to introduce yourself and Skia?
My name is Justin, and I'm playing Skia, the Satyr Artificer.
Justin introduced me to Dungeons & Dragons. Justin was my very first DM back in 2013. We had both just finished our freshman year at Florida State University. We were working summer camp together. And
I brought my D&D books.
You brought D&D books, and that was the very first time that I played D&D, and I'll be totally honest, I wasn't like super into it at first, but how many people were in that first session?
I honestly don't really remember all too well, because we were playing, but we were also,
We were, young college students who were all living together, and we were consuming a lot of beverages. There were a lot of beverages being consumed.
A lot of giggle juice, and I was also DMing on giggle juice is hard.
Yeah.
And then, yeah.
Yeah, I remember that I was playing a rogue character named Iago, and that's about all I remember of it.
Yeah, I don't even remember what you guys were doing. Like, I don't remember what I had. I think I was just like, here's D&D, and then probably some kind of randomized encounter stuff. I don't remember.
We could blame it on the alcohol, but also, it was 12 years ago.
That's true.
So...
Oh, wait, because we played like actual campaigns.
And then we played
back. I do remember those.
Yeah, at college over the course of several years, I played a number of different characters. One that I had for a long time was Mercutio, who started in a very like space sci-fi setting, and then that campaign kind of fell apart. So I joined another campaign that you were running, but just by falling through a wormhole. So then,
oddly enough. Dealt with some timey-wimey things.
Oh,
we're coming full circle, Bryland.
So, Justin, for our viewers, how long have you been playing D&D?
Probably since I was I want to say in the 8 to 10 range. I was 8 to 10 years, because my family always played D&D. Like, my father played D&D, mom, grandma, I had a family that played Dungeons & Dragons.
Yeah.
So I've been playing since I was really little, and then I think I started DMing when I was 11 or 12. Had my first little, DM'd for my family, and then DM'd in high school, kind of switched off with my dad. And then I brought it to college and infected more people with Dungeons & Dragons.
Well,
so I've been playing over 2 decades at least.
Yeah, you infected me, that's for sure.
And I'm glad I did, because, look, I don't have to DM all the time.
Yeah, no, you don't ever DM anymore.
It's great. That was my long con. I was like, yeah, surely someone's going to pick this up.
I love playing. I love getting to be a character, but if I had to only choose one for the rest of my life, it would be DM. I like molding the story and
well, you were a creative writer, so
I like telling stories. So I think with the amount of time that you've been playing D&D, I think that goes into part of the reason why all of our other players, myself included, are typically pretty terrified of the characters that you create.
I don't know what's so scary about Skia. They're just, a nurse that works in the burn ward.
I'm not going to say it for, spoiler's sake, but I know what's scary about Skia. We've seen it in our 4 sessions that we've played so far. I feel like typically, most people who play D&D, the first character that they make is very similar to, themselves. There's that trope of first-time players always want to play the human champion fighter because it's, as close as you can get. But you play a character that, at least in personality and morals, is very similar to yourself because that's easy to role play. And then the further you get and the more you play and you experience and you get to have fun with these various worlds, more people branch out and they start playing crazier characters.
That's my character. I'm the trash man. I come out, I throw trash all over the ring, and then I start eating garbage.
Characters that get to do things that will do things that they've never done in the game before, or that they as people wouldn't do. You find that accurate?
Yeah, and especially if they're a dungeon master. I think dungeon masters tend to come up with weirder characters too, I think.
That's fair.
Just because Dungeon Masters like crafting stuff, so they're like, I'm going to play something weird.
So, speaking of weird things, Skia is an artificer. Would you like to tell us why and what sort of influences or ideas brought you to this version of Skia?
So, going on like a more meta path first, I would say I picked Artificer because I like using magic. It's really tough for me to not, it's hard for me to just play someone who doesn't have any magic in them.
Yeah.
And with the setting of this campaign being that magic is reduced, I was like, Artificer's kind of like a nice, they still got some magic in them, but they fit within this lower magic setting.
Yeah.
And I always, like, just me as a player, like, I like playing a character that has some kind of like out of combat utility and more just like can interact with the world in interesting ways. And I felt that Artificers have a lot of tools and things that they can do for like role-playing purposes that are interactive with a lot of different stuff.
Yeah.
And then of course, me being always trying to come up with something weird, I didn't want to go with I'm an artificer and I invent things. I didn't want to be.
I'm a gnome with big glasses and
I make tinkers and toys and bombs and stuff. No. So
nothing against that kind of character. I love that kind of character. But no, I get what you mean.
Yeah. So I went with a different thought train on this, where what if I was an artificer but dealt with like biological enhancements instead of mechanical enhancements? Because that's something in my own like personal campaigns, and Brian will attest to this. I really like doing kind of weird body horror cybernetic setting stuff. Brian's been stuck in too many meat tubes at various points, so I just think it's interesting. And so I kind of wanted to run with that. Like, what if I was a artificer that did biology stuff? And I was looking at like the alchemist, maybe, because it kind of deals with like mixing chemicals and stuff. But I just really, I did have to contend with the fact that alchemist, like just the stat blocks or like what abilities they have are kind of, didn't look interesting.
Yeah, it's
it's like, yeah, the subclass just didn't seem fun looking. Yeah. So I went with the Armorer subclass, because I do like the Armorer. It can be a little bit, you can switch the armor to be tanky a little bit or more stealthy with range. So some variability in how you can build and play the class. And also, since the character I previously played in Brown's campaign was a bard who was not very good at combat, I wanted to pick something that had a little bit more oomph when it came to fighting. So I figured the Artificer Armorer would have a little bit more direct impact on fights and things. So that's kind of where I went with the build, because at level 5 to get like 2 attacks per round, so they can deal some damage. You got utility in the spells, they can heal a little bit, they can deal some damage. They're kind of like a jack of all trades class.
Yeah.
Which is, I kind of like filling that kind of role. Hence I was playing a bard earlier, so you can see the connection there. Jack of all trades, doing a lot of different things, depending on what we need.
And it's interesting that, like, I have also played an Armorer Artificer, and I played it in a game that Alex ran, flavored very differently. Mechanically, I was a Warforged, but as far as it went, I was an octopus inside of a mech suit, which was a lot of fun. Cool. Shout out to Baby Dale. Of all of the things that you've looked at with the Artificer, with the Armorer Artificer, what is it, what abilities or spells or uses are you most excited for in the future?
Well, I wouldn't be telling the truth if the fact that Artificers can use guns. I'm kind of excited for that. There's a possibility that in this, I've already been, I don't know where this interview is going to pop up, but I've already been shot by a gun in the game. And it hurt really bad. Yeah. I've been on the receiving end of guns, so I really want a gun to use. So I'm kind of looking forward to that. And I'm just looking forward to kind of fleshing out my armor more. Pun intended.
I hate it. That's the end of the interview.
All right, cut this off. Because, with the Armor Artificer, with the infusions, you can infuse different things into the armor. Some stuff I haven't shown yet in combat. Like, the other players saw one thing I can do with it, but they haven't seen the other things that I can do with it yet. So I'm excited for, And with the flavor text, it's a little scary. They get a little freaked out when I use my abilities. So
yeah,
it's fun.
Ow! how are you hoping that Skia will change and grow and adapt over the course of the campaign?
Well, I'm hoping or gonna see if like Skia will, because I mean Skia's trying to learn a lot of stuff about. I mean, the current thing that they're working on is basically something to help treat and prevent and like treat injuries, especially from burns. Like they work in the burn ward in the hospital, so that's kind of where their artificing comes from. Is they're doing like skin grafts and things like that. So it would be cool for Skia to, figure out and understand more of that kind of thing. This was kind of a theme in the other campaign too. I like my characters to have kind of like an overarching long-term personal goal of theirs, kind of thing. And Skia's pointing more towards like, not like curing cancer, but, making something that will like revolutionize like healthcare.
Yeah.
In centering.
Which is great. That's a great goal to have.
Yeah. And I think for like change, I mean, Skia, if you, again, I don't know where this interview is going to pop up, but if you, the viewer, are unaware of like the politics of centering at this time, there's this whole thing going on with a train, and it's gonna possibly break apart like old cultures and stuff like that. There's a whole big hoopla about it. Skia is very for the train because Skia is a staunch industrialist, and that's one of the political parties in Feroth. So I'm curious to see how Skia will change, if they're ever faced with the reality of the people who live in the way of where they're going to try to build the train, or because Skia's got pretty black and white thinking for a lot of stuff.
Okay.
So we'll see if Skia's going to, gray out in some things or become even more hardened in others. Well, and also when I come up with characters, I don't like planning ahead too much.
You want to see how they grow.
Yeah, and it's the same thing whenever I do, I don't know, like acting in real life or anything like that. It's hard for me to be like, this is the character that I'm making, and it always changes when I start actually acting it out anyway. Yeah. Even whatever I thought it was going to be, or what I was like, maybe this. Anytime I start actually doing it, it ends up, I just kind of fall into something, and then that's what feels right. So it's tough for me to plan like ahead, like this is how I'm gonna end.
Yeah, and I feel like that takes away some of the fun of the role playing. Is so much discovering the character and learning how they react to things, and then watching that change over the course of however long the campaign is. Yeah, right. I think, writing a character is one thing, but when you're playing a character, you don't want to plan how they're going to change. You want to discover it.
Yeah.
So what kind of challenges do you think are going to be most difficult for Skia to overcome?
I think some of the difficult challenge will be trying to navigate whatever new kind of, social political situations that come up, because they're trying to juggle working at the hospital with some other clandestine operations. And now recently, there's been some other altercations that have happened. And I'm not sure if Skia is going to be able to juggle all of that without getting in some serious trouble with one or all of these.
The very realistic challenge of having a full-time job and then also having life stuff going on.
Yeah, there's some serious life stuff happening, and Skia's like, oh man, but my stable job.
Oh, I gotta use all my PTO.
Hey, I did. I only had 10 days of PTO. We need to unionize at this hospital or something. I don't know.
Yeah, and we've already seen in this campaign, just in the first 4 sessions that we've had so far, the tensions in the city that you guys are in. You've been dealing with a lot of anti-magic sentiments, and I'm interested to see where Skia falls on that, because as someone who identifies as a staunch industrialist, the Industrialist Political Party really emerged after the end of the Sorcerer's Civil War. So, that war amongst sorcerers that really depleted magic from the world, it was really the birth of the Industrialist movement. So I wouldn't say that the Industrialists as a political party are anti-magic, but they're certainly not pro-magic. They want to move the world, the country forward with the inventions and the way of life that have grown out of that lack.
Right. Yeah, and that will be something I think that's going to be a challenge for Skia, because they are the most magical out of the siblings.
It's true.
I think. So they've had the most interaction with magic, but like secretly. So they haven't faced this kind of like weird backlash to it yet.
Yeah. In a similar vein, what about Skia is most difficult for you, Justin, to roleplay?
Another thing that I like to do when I'm DMing or playing is I love fantasy and I love science fiction, but I really like realistic fantasy or realistic science fiction. I feel like you do a good job of having like realistic fantasy, I think, in your worlds.
Thank you.
Where it's not just like, oh, this happened because just magic. I don't know. It's just woo, magic, you know. Woo. So playing Skia, who's like working in the medical field, like as an artificer, so it's like sci-fi fantasy. I want to keep some kind of like realism, like, oh yeah, I could see with like this scientific principle with like a little bit of magic, you could make something like this happen. You know, not just like, oh, blah blah blah, magic. That's, they can do this, like miraculous thing. You know, so like flavoring all of their abilities to be kind of realistic magic.
It's going to require a bit of research.
Yeah, possible actual real life. Because I looked up, I was like, wait, well, how are like modern burn treatments? Like what happened? Like what do they do? And I was like, oh yeah, you know, so I had to like, that
came up and you started explaining. There was definitely a moment in that very first session where those of us that were in the scene were kind of like, oh shit, Justin knows what he's talking about.
And he won't stop talking.
He's going on and on about this.
Will Skia ever shut up about burn treatments? You know, so that I think will be kind of a challenge. Like I don't want to have it get too far away from just being like, oh, it's just magic, you know, so flavoring everything. And again, yeah, because that comes into like, since the biological artificer is not like the norm, you know, I kind of want to be able to make that seem realistic in that sense.
You want to blend those two things together in a way that makes sense.
So I think that'll be kind of a challenge, you know, as we keep playing.
Last question. How are you similar to Skia?
We both like public transportation infrastructure. Rails are cool, and we should have more of them.
Have more high-speed rails.
Yeah.
Travel.
Definitely good.
Across our country.
But also, I mean, I put in, you know, this is kind of like my previous character. It's kind of a arc thing. Like, Skia is definitely also about like personal freedoms and stuff like that. You know, just like my old character. I think I'm pretty big on, you know, you have the rights to, you know, do what you want, not like be enslaved or, you know, controlled in some manners and things like that. So Skia, I think that's one thing that that's really upsetting Skia about the negotiators and things, is that they're basically, you know, killing or brutalizing or imprisoning people, even if, you know, it's their own personal magic that's causing, you know, it's not like that they're doing anything bad. They're just, so that's kind of rubbing Skia the wrong way.
Gotcha.
You know, not being able to practice their magic simply, you know, and then like facing these horrific outcomes because of it.
I am loving Skia so far. Even, okay, maybe I'm not loving the body horror, but that's because
you gotta admit it was kind of cool what they did, though.
Oh, it's super cool. I just don't like it.
Yeah, it'll only get worse.
Yeah, it will. I'm mentally preparing myself for that. And regardless of if it makes me squirm or not, I'm looking forward to it, because I think it's a really fun character, and I'm excited to see how they grow and change.
Yeah, I'm having a lot of fun so far too. Cool. And now it's getting serious.
Thank you for sitting down with me, Justin, and talking about Skia for a little bit. So excited to see where we go from here.
Yeah, a little nervous.
at some point during that battle, it like occurred to me that it does that much damage, and I was like, "Don't pick it up! Don't pick it up! Don't pick it up! Oh my god! Fuck! 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 Fuck!"
Yeah.
So yeah, that's how that went.
Yeah, it was like, Brylan, that's all of our hit points.
Yeah. Whoops.
It's like real life. You get shot and you're like,